Media buying is extremely important for B2B brands, but it has to be done properly to get the impact that you're looking for. So today I thought I would just review some media buying steps that you have to think about, what you need to look for so that you get your company's branding message in the right spot in front of your audience. So I'm going to go through today just some media buying steps. The first thing is as you set out to do any type of media buying, you have to have in your head, what are you trying to accomplish here? Is it branding? Is it lead generation? What are your goals? And of course, then what is the time frame? I work with some clients and we're talking about a month or 2 weeks. But then I have other clients who might be talking about 6 months. The type of buying that we would do for the two different time frames would be totally different. But if it's a last minute push for an event or an auction, then we have to do things that are very quick. So you have to have that in your mind. The first thing I do is when I'm looking at certain publications to whether we're going to do some media buying with them is I look at their editorial calendar. I think it's great to see what topics they're going to be talking about. Here's one. It's not too extensive, but for one of my clients, it was spot on. So it was perfect. This is a second editorial calendar, and you see this is a lot more there. There's a description about what they're going to be writing about, shows they might be going to. It gives you a good idea of who the audience is and is that audience in line with the people you're trying to reach. That's what you're trying to uncover here. You're trying to uncover, is this the right audience? And yes, you've got to do your due diligence. You're the one who has to go and do the research. It's not just a quick call. Hey, is this right for me? And they say yes, and you do it. No. And it's not, okay, yeah, definitely this magazine because it's spot in my industry. An example here is I had a client who wanted to be in the beverage industry. They wanted to get magazines in that area. So we looked at different magazines. Well, when we dug deeper, we found out that some of the magazines that they thought would be perfect were really only talking to retailers, not manufacturers. And we needed manufacturers. So this is why you have to do your due diligence. Is the publication right? Are they talking about topics that your target audience would be interested in? So look at the editorial calendar. The next thing I usually do is if the company has a BPA statement. Now, a BPA statement is an audited statement about the subscribers of their publication. It sometimes has a variety of different information, but usually like what industry they're in, geographically where they're located, what titles they have. And so a BPA statement can be a great way to get started. But remember, you're not just interested in the quantity of the people in those titles and industries. You want to make sure that these people are engaging with the brand. If they're engaging with the brand, then that means that they're still current, still alive, still breathing, still very much interested in the information. Thus, they would be interested in what you have to offer. Then I go on and I'll dig deeper. Usually, when you get someone's media kit, they'll give you a breakdown of their audience. So you look at the business and industry. You can see how many people would be in a certain industry. And based on what channel you're looking for, sometimes you could say, so in this case, maybe I say, oh, you know what? I don't want the classical pharmaceutical. I really only want research institutes. You go to them and say, how can I reach just that audience? And maybe they'll recommend an email blast where you can select them out. Or maybe there's a newsletter specific to that audience. So there's a way to whittle it down to get exactly to the people you need. Not that you go and you put out this massive thing that's going in front of all of these people only for the majority not to be interested or not really the right audience for you. So go through the business and the industries that are listed there. See how many of them are appropriate, and then see how you can kind of pick and choose which ones you want. A lot of publishers will offer a variety of different selects on their demographics. Every single one is different. And that's what makes it a little confusing when you start to look at media kits, because it's not a uniform thing. It's not uniform that every media kit has to be set up this way. So you have to dig deep. Now, here on this one, the subscriber profile, they're looking at the operations performed, which if you're in the metalworking space, these operations are very important for you to know. And same thing here. What markets are you in? Depending on what your product or service is, this is the type of detailed information you need. When you use industry-specific publications or conference companies, this is why these sources are so valuable. This is why these sources really need to be used by B2B offers. It's because the information that's there is more granular than anything else you can get. You can't go to big B2B data platforms and whittle it down like this. And then once you whittle it down, one, you know their active subscribers who self-reported this information, meaning Donna Peterson went in, she said what operation she performs, she said what markets they follow or they're in. I said that, not that they harvested the information off the internet or they saw that maybe I clicked on something that said automotive. No, I specifically said I was in automotive. This is why media buying, when it's done properly, can be such a great vehicle for B2B offers. Then sometimes, especially if you're looking at doing an email blast, some vendors will give you a selection sheet, meaning you can go through all the selects and pick and choose, sort of like a Chinese menu, column A, column B, column C. You pick and choose the things you want. You will pick and choose the ones that get you closer to your target audience. But don't stop there. This is where if you go and talk to the list owners, they can also do keyword searches. Maybe there's a specific title you're looking for, crossed with a specific industry, crossed with a size of a company. This is where those publishing companies can go in and whittle that down to get exactly what you need. And then after you've whittled it all down and you know your exact target audience, this is when you can start thinking about the channels. What channels will you use? Now, this is just quickly a chart of one vendor that offers a package deal. This is for industrial auction companies. But this can happen across all verticals where you can pick and choose. This is where time frame is incredibly important. If you're trying to promote, like I mentioned at the beginning, an event that's happening in a month, you don't have time to do lengthy, like a programmatic campaign or any type of lead gen type campaign. You need to do a quick brand awareness, get it out there. So an email blast is great for that. Newsletter banners are great for that. Something that can get in front of the people right away. But then the other part, in order to make media buying successful, one-offs of anything won't work. If you post a one ad in a magazine that you think is spot on, I'll tell you right now, it's not going to pull in the numbers you want. People are being bombarded by messages. And this is why you have to try to put together a nice cohesive strategy that hits people on different channels and sometimes with different sources. So if you're all within one industry, maybe you want to have one on publication A, but one on publication B and one on publication C, but you align your different marketing channels so that they can complement each other. Because we all know if you're in an industry, you're probably reading more than one industry publication. Yes, I'm in marketing. I read tons of marketing publications, but I also read industry specific publications. So whether it's the AMA or it's Ad Age or it's Marketing Profs, whatever it is, I am reading it to stay current. So if you have messages that are done in a strategic way, it's going to get me thinking. It's going to nurture me along. It's going to get me to make a response. What I'm talking about is if you decide to do a newsletter banner with one source, then maybe you do an email blast with another. And then maybe when you do that email blast with this vendor, maybe you complement that with a website banner. You work out ways to strategically put your messaging together so that it stays out there consistently. It nurtures that individual. And if you're offering educational information, you're educating the individual as they go along. This is the best way to start to form a relationship with these people because it gives your company validity. They don't think you're just this, opened up yesterday. Yeah, send out an email blast. They're going to take my money. They're never going to deliver what they said they're going to. No, you show that you are a true company, where you're located, the history of your company. World Innovators. It's going to be this week. We are going to turn 43 this week. And when you start to show that to people, the validity, they know, hey, they're not going to be gone next week. They've been around this long. They're not disappearing next week. So these are the things you need to do when you're doing media buying. Don't rush it. Take the time to figure out exactly what are you trying to accomplish, and then do your due diligence of looking through the different sources, looking through their media kit, their BPA statement, their any kind of selection forms they have, and then talk to them. Call them and talk to them. If you go and you subscribe to the B2B Marketing Excellence podcast, if you go back over previous episodes, you'll see I've talked to list owners. I've talked to different publishers about their publications, what they're doing to get new people, how are they keeping those people cleaned and updated, and then also how are they keeping those people engaged? So that when you go to advertise with them, if it's Confectionery International, they're in that space and they're interested in what you have to offer. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions for me about media buying, is there something specific you should watch out for? What if they said this, or if there's a term you don't understand? Please feel free to reach out to me. I'm passionate about this because I want people to find quality ways of doing marketing that actually works, and using industry specific publications and conferences really work when they're done properly.